First drilled in 1986, I believe. Now it's been given a new licensing to come up for experimental drilling from now until the end of September. And Quadrilla are now looking for another 6 months of drilling, which will take them through the winter. And as you can see from the Christmas trees here and the guards there, that we have quite a large amount of machinery. And one moment, the thing is here is this is the village of Balcombe, and we need to see exactly what's happening, exactly what is going in here. We've had a number of reports of vehicles coming and going without passing through the main gate, which is where all the heavy duty traffic has to go. And we've had no reports of where the waste that they'll be drawing up. They pump water in if the drill gets stuck. They can often pour acid and chemicals to try and make the rock more pliable to take the damaged drill heads out. And when they pull the produced water or the chemical solutions that they put in, they have to dispose of them. And this site has no official waste disposal facilities that we're aware of. As you can see from the gate here, you can see it's got a keep out sign. But what it doesn't have is it doesn't have the it doesn't have any of the signage that is necessary for when you have things such as Safe Carb 2 produced on the site, then or taken to the site and used on the site, then you should have the appropriate signage. From some of the press coverage, it looks like there's they feel there's a potential that there might be a lack of harmony between some of the campaigners that are coming down and some of the villagers and some of the established camp. Do you think that's going to be an issue, and do you think that the press are really clearly representing what's happening here on the ground?
I personally believe the press and mainstream media are not presenting that picture in a true light. At the moment, the dynamics between the village, the actual camp and other people coming in is really good. It's really strong at the moment. Communication is really high and you've got the complete backing of the village. Last night's event was really amazing and uplifting and very supportive. Residents were kind of nervous, reclaimed the power, were nervous about what they were going into, but they all have the one same problem, and this is getting Quadrilla shut down.
As local residents, do you feel that you were consulted and kept in the loop about what was happening in your community?
By whom?
Well, by local authorities.
Absolutely,
that allowed this,
absolutely not at all. We've been misled. We're being fed a great deal of misinformation. There's a propaganda campaign. We're really fighting the government and big oil together, who really want to make this happen. But it's not going to happen. It really won't happen. And there's such a sense of solidarity. It's not political. There's all sorts of political persuasions all together on this, and they're not going to win.
Yeah, a lot of people here say they're learning new things and learning different ways of interacting and different ways of problem solving.
Exactly, it's a profoundly healing experience for me coming here, because I had such bad anxiety before I came here, and just being accepted and not judged here has made such a huge difference to me as a person.
And do you find that people are interested in what you have to say and what you have to...
People are just so willing to communicate on the site, they really are. It's lovely.
And so, you know, you've not just learnt things about the fracking that's gone on here, but actually about the people and the...
Yeah, I feel that it's far bigger than just fracking now. It is all about the unity we're creating, because that is far more important than just one single protest, because that covers everything.
They're digging great big holes, and yet you've got something here which can seem to be a way of getting power.
It's free. A line of these around the equator is power 24/7, totally free power. There is a free lunch after all.
Okay. And do you think that by coming here with all these people that you're able to get the message across that maybe drilling holes into the ground isn't the best way, but maybe a few more of these?
Certainly would be, and it would be a lot further on than it was if it wasn't for those chaps in there, because they're limiting the powers and that lot that these things can go to now. It's like the Moore's law with microprocessors. These things should be getting denser every year. There comes a point where that would cut out the need for the energy grid. Even in a place like Britain, they will have put a stop to that already. They will have placed a limit, what they call it, a recreational panel. Since we only play when we're not at work, of course, you know, in this mature state. There'll be a recreational use only in that, and other ones require licences or things like that, or otherwise unavailable, or like Spain do. Done.
And what do you think we can achieve by coming here together to
undoing the divide and rule, which allows these corporations to do with this as they will? This is the thing. The corporations are meant to serve us, be afraid of us, as are the governments, not the other way around. So joining up like this achieves that.
In terms of division, what way do you think that comes forward? I mean, everybody I've met here seems very, very friendly.
I'm not here. That's what we're doing here. That's what's changing the world here. Everywhere else outside of this and before British society, it is the aim: divide and rule to keep subdued.
So what's happening here that is unifying people rather than dividing them, or what?
From the divided state that was, to this is what people are discovering, that we're one big human family.
I'm down from London, and I'm here for two reasons really. One, obviously I'd like to join the sort of the protect action that's going on here in Balcombe and fracking, the local thing. But also I'm really interested in how these anti-fracking protests or camps are happening actually all over the world. So what's of interest to me is a lot of this focus is very much on the local, but this is happening simultaneously, these camps in Canada, the United States, in Portugal, in Poland, here in Balcombe. It looks small and it looks local, but to me it's actually the big one. It connects all the dots. It's because it is a global issue.
And lots of people have said they've come here and they've met people from all different walks of life that maybe they wouldn't normally meet their day to day, and that everybody seems here very unified. So it seems that actually what Driller have done by bulldozing through at a greater rate of what the locals say in terms of consultation and planning, that they've actually galvanised the community not just locally but regionally and nationally.
Sure, I suppose inadvertently, but it's not just Padrilla acting on their own, of course. Padrilla has been chased out of many areas that they tried to get into. Interestingly, in Balcombe, it's really is a community issue in terms of how it got in, because of course the local landowner has leased his land to Padrilla and also is on the parish council and very influential on the parish council.
That's Mr. Simon Greenwood.
Simon Greenwood, yes, that's right. And so it's an interesting thing, the way it's got passed through. Interesting timing of this particular exploratory drilling, because of course the application for drilling expires in September.
What do you think the people are achieving here by their actions?
Oh, that's a good question. It depends on who you speak to, doesn't it? I've just borrowed a bicycle and cycled around the village, and I was speaking to somebody doing some gardening up there, and he was telling me that there's no point, this has absolutely no effect, it's going to happen anyway. Fair enough, it may well happen anyway, but actually, in the meantime, I think what's very interesting is seeing so many people coming from the surrounding area up to the camp and being absolutely not only delighted with the kind of community that they're finding here and just the camaraderie and the chat, but also they're learning about fracking, they're holding placards for the first time in their lives, and I mean it's just worst case scenario. Let's suppose it fails and they're drilling, and God knows what happens here. This is politicised, this community, in a way that may never happen at this steep and again. And that's valuable, the more people that oppose fracking generally, they'll go off and they'll talk about it to other people, and this branches out. So, yeah.
I'm just here to find out why you're here, where you come from.
Well, we just come over from a little village called Berwick near Alfriston, East Sussex, in the Weald. And we've come over here because we're very much concerned about what's actually happening here, what the idea is for the future of our countryside. When they first started mentioning that there might be prospect of like reserves under the Weald, oil or gas or whatever it might be, I immediately knew that this, we can't go that way, because we already know we've already taken enough fossil fuels out of the ground to destroy the climate, so we don't take any more, whether it's in my backyard or anyone else's backyard. We don't do it, whether it's fracking or not. No more fossil fuels. So I wrote to my MP, ignored. So I signed the petitions that were going about. Massive petition, there are thousands and thousands of names on it.
There's a good number.
Ignored. So I believe in democracy, I'm a good boy, I always do things the way you're supposed to. So I've written to my MP, I've signed my petitions, didn't work. So the next step for me, the next logical step, is to actually stand up and be counted. So when I heard that this was happening here, I just had to come over and brought over my partner and our little children.
And how's your family found it here?
It's absolutely gorgeous. The people here are all it's a wonderful spread of all different kinds of people, all different social classes, all different, there's old and there's young, and everybody is just genuinely they're lovely, nice. It's a proud, it's very, not very nationalist, but they're very English. It's very polite and nice and English, and small villagey towny England. It's really nice to see normal folk.
And you're obviously upset that you've received no response, and that you feel what consultation there was ineffective.
Yeah.
And do you think the people here, by coming together and forming this protection, do you think that's putting pressure or having an effect on what is going on here?
I think it's in several ways. I think it's putting pressure, as in it's raising the question, the conversation that can be heard by people that haven't heard the conversation, that people that are a little bit to and fro don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's raised that, it's brought it into more homes of folk that aren't necessarily across this kind of thing. And that in turn puts pressure on the MPs themselves, because pretty much they really are concerned about getting votes. So hopefully it will make that kind of pressure.
I came down here because we want to stop fracking, because it's bad for the environment and people here aren't happy with it.
Okay, well, what sort of things make it bad for the environment?
Like, it can pollute your water and stuff and make it dangerous. And also, the chemicals they let off can start a bit more, makes global warming worse.
So the methane that they say comes out.
And it's not good for animals, because if they breathe it in, or if they're trying to drink from the rivers and stuff, they're going to get ill.
And in West Drayton, that's not too far from where I used to go to school as a young chap. And I remember that some mornings you'd come out and there'd be this big smog and fog from all the exhaust pipes. And so, do you think we're burning too much fossil fuel already?
Yeah, I think something needs to be done a bit quicker. Otherwise, it's not going to be safe to breathe here, and everybody's going to have to start using gas masks.
Okay, and that's no fun. Wouldn't be a good fashion accessory. Where have you come from?
Well, I'm a bit of a nomad. I officially live in Oxford, but I do spend a lot of time wandering around in London, I'm afraid. I'm highly polluted, but I get my ear to the ground.
And why have you ended up in lovely, sleepy, leafy little Balcombe?
Well, guess what? There's a lot of my friends here. And I didn't know they were here, because this morning I just had an opportunity to get here, jumped in a car, and here I am. And I was greeted by so many old friends. I immediately felt at home. So.
And do you think all the people gathering here in Balcombe is having an effect and is having a positive effect on increasing the dialogue? to resolve the problem here?
I think the important thing is to get information about why people are here out to the public, and that's why I was curious about the camera. I know that most people that are wandering around in supermarkets and watching the television and so on and so on, doing normal human activities, do not realise what's going on in their name. And we need to get that information to them. They want to know on behalf of their children. They need to know.
So would you say to those people that to find out a little bit more about fracking? Because I know the more I find out about fracking, the more worried the more concerned I am that it needs to be kept an eye on at best.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we're in some kind of phase of madness that we can be causing such destruction to the earth, the only one that we have, where we want our children to prosper. And all I see is that the ignorance is leading to apparent consent.
If you could send a message to the fracking, what would you say to them?
What will you say to your child, your grandchild, 50 years' time, when the things that we're talking about actually manifest? Just think about that. You won't be able to drink your money.
To the frackers.
Yeah.
I would not like to be in your shoes one day when your child asks you, Mummy or Daddy, what did you do to save the poisoning of the water?
You see the shape?
And that you have to live with for the rest of your lives.
It's not just everybody out here who's going to suffer, it's you that you're going to suffer as well once you start doing it. So you should stop now while you still have a chance to change it.
I say, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? What are you doing? What conceivably can you think that this is a way of occupying your life when it means death? How can that be a way of profiting and bringing anything but goodness to yourselves and your children? Presumably you have a reason to do this, but I can't figure it out because it's so mad, it's so disgusting, it's so deeply... We don't have the vocabulary, it's so deeply stupid, but stupid is not the word to describe what you're doing.